What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio. Transmitting from the future-free state of Greater Idaho, I am the one-armed madman. And with me tonight, he's back. It's Nolan 5150. What's up, brother?
Hey. Holiday season, man. Just buying gifts. I don't think I've had to buy this many gifts ever.
I don't buy gifts anymore. Actually, that's not true. I did buy a gift this year. I bought a gift for my little brother. I got him it's actually pretty cool. It's a STEM tool made by MIT or like licensed by whatever. But it's a straight line 4-cylinder engine, all clear plastic parts, and you put it all together. You hook it up to a battery, and then it cranks.
Oh, nice. That's rad.
Yeah. So my thought was it's essentially 4 dirt bike engines lined up.
Yeah.
And like, what better way to learn how to work on a dirt bike engine, right? Like, oh man, I would have been pumped for something like that when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Been fucking sick. My thought is you put it together once with your dad, then you take it apart, you put it together again by yourself, and you take it apart, and you put it back together again without the directions until you can get it right. You're not going to hurt the fucking thing. You know, it's plastic.
Yeah.
So what a cool way to learn how to work on a dirt bike.
Oh yeah.
What are you guys doing for Christmas? Anything good?
Got plans with the lady and her family, kind of. That's pretty much it. Oh boy.
That's where the money comes in.
Yeah. Usually I'm a very small circle. I have like a radius mileage. Like if you don't live within so many miles of me during Christmas, then you're not getting a gift.
Yeah. I spent like $5,000 one year to go to Chicago. I didn't even want to go. Didn't have a good time at all. Still spent $5,000. I was supposed to get reimbursed for the hotel. That never fucking happens. It was wild too, because my ex's family, very, very, very well off, but don't like to pay for things. And for some reason,
that's how they stay rich.
And yeah, dude, exactly. Because like they put literally the poorest people in the family are responsible for paying all the shit. It was wild. It drove me nuts. Some of the biggest fights we ever got in. Well, not really, but we got in some big Christmas fights over that shit. Anyways, I've got some videos and shit this week. I did like the absolute minimum on production this week because to be honest, my money was on you not showing up. So I was like, until I think he's going to be here, I'm not going to waste my time doing fucking videos this week. We did have big news, though. Donald Trump taken off the ballot in Colorado, which,
I heard that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had some videos together. Last night, but I really wanted to wait till this morning so we could get some like actual hard hitting, real analysis, get to the real meat of it. So I went to my favorite. We're going to the well. Let's learn about Trump getting taken off the ballot. Here's Joe Scarborough.
This is not about Republican versus Democrat. This is not about liberal versus conservative. This is about people who love democracy versus people who, I guess, just don't give a damn about American democracy. So this lie that on other networks that this is partisan and this is left wing and versus right wing, this is progressive versus, that's just a lie. Mike Barnacle, this is a fight. This is a fight in the next 11 months. Regardless of your views on certain issues or your political stands on certain issues, this is a fight for the heart and soul of American democracy, and not where American democracy goes over the next 4 years, but whether American democracy survives. And I do wonder if everybody in the Biden White House and every Democrat on Capitol Hill understands this. Democrats. So this is not about...
I fucking love Joe Scarborough. He's the best, dude. It's just wild. Hey, I know that we've been like partisan on Trump for this entire thing, but really, it's not partisan. This is just how democracy works, right? Like... Yeah. Why would you be able to vote for this guy? That democracy. It's great. For people who love American democracy, and then for just the guys who whatever, we'll just turn into China.
Yeah. And
That's great.
The whole basis of the Colorado saying he's not eligible to be on the ballot, that's based off of the whole like insurrection bullshit, right?
Yeah. And he hasn't
been convicted of anything, right?
Yeah, it's wild. Like federally he hasn't been convicted of anything, but I guess these states can just willy-nilly do whatever the fuck they want.
That sounds like guilty until proven is innocent.
Yeah, it really does. Like, I mean, even that bullshit fucking tribunal, whatever they called it, the J6 committee.
Yeah,
like they didn't even find that the lower court in Colorado said he didn't, or what did they say? I guess they said that he did commit insurrection, but since he's the president, who cares? Which, I'm a fan of a lot of things in the Constitution, but this one really is fucking nuts the way they describe this. Let's go to Vivek Ramaswamy because I think he gives a little bit better analysis on this than I could, and then we'll kind of go from there.
They have just tried to bar President Trump from the Colorado ballot using an unconstitutional maneuver that is a bastardization of the 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. This was a provision, Section 3, that was designed to bar Confederate members, people who switched to the Confederacy, from actually being able to serve. That's very different than what's at issue here, to say the least.
So, first off, this tells me that, there's way too many fucking bullshit things in the Constitution. Like, why do we still have provisions from the Civil War in the Constitution? It makes no fucking sense. Like, if we have another Civil War, which, maybe, then hey, maybe we can deal with something like that. But it's not like we've got a whole bunch of fucking Confederates running around trying to take over Union posts. It's wild to me that something like that still exists on the books. And people just haven't gone through it and go, hey, wait, this doesn't really make any sense. Why don't we just get rid of that part?
Well, I mean, it's like a lot of state laws. You've heard all the time about the super outdated, weird, old school laws that are, like you're saying, just ridiculous that they're still even on the books. And it's one of those things where it's on the books, but it never really gets enforced until, something like this. And honestly, it kind of is starting to feel like, like there's, they're trying to label, the right wing of this country as kind of a Confederacy, and with all the
you're
talk about
Confederates, you're Nazis, whatever. It's just person I don't like. That's the pseudonym for Nazi at this point. It's just bad person I don't like. You're a Nazi, you're a Confederate, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a white supremacist. All of these things are just person I don't like.
Yeah.
None of them actually hold any water because they fall apart on the face. You can call me a white supremacist all you want. I had an interracial wedding at my house, so that kind of disproves the entire fucking theory, right?
Yeah. That's my favorite thing. If somebody starts to try to label me racist or something, I'm like, okay, well, in order to continue this conversation, I'm going to need a detailed definition of your detailed definition of the word racist. What's your definition of that word that you're calling me? And then after I understand what you have going on in your mind with that word, then I can argue.
Yeah, but you'll never get that because the left uses language as a weapon. And if you have a firm definition of something, you can't get squirrely. That's why you start getting things only white people can't have racism committed against them. It's wait a minute, what? That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But these weird leftists can, weaponize language and get squirrely with definitions and say this or say that. We've got a couple stories that we're going to get into later about the depravity of the media that are absolutely doing this. They're just using language as a weapon. And they're very fucking good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chomsky wrote a whole book about this, many books about this. This whole deal is language, and yeah, it's pretty fucking nuts. Somebody wrote a book and I never read it. I need to buy it because I like having books like this at my house in the library just in case they're ever needed. But I don't remember her name. She wrote a book about the premise is that you commit multiple felonies a day just by existing in America.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, you don't even have to do anything.
Yeah, just by existing.
Literally everybody in this country commits. I mean, just think about driving to work. How many crimes do you commit just driving to work every day?
Well, let's see. I usually don't wear my seatbelt, so that's one.
Yeah. I don't use my blinker because I have one hand. I only use my blinker when I absolutely have to, It's we can get arrested for fucking anything. Man, I think I might have to quit smoking weed here pretty soon because I've been getting the other night I drove to Ontario and I smoked weed before I went, which was stupid. And I was kind of tired. I hadn't been sleeping good the last few nights. And I just got all kinds of paranoid. If I get pulled over, I'm going to fucking jail. I look stoned. I don't know if I'm driving. So I got halfway there and I turned around. Yeah, I turned around and went home. And then after I relaxed a little bit, I was swerving all over the place. I was like, oh, good. But dude, it's stressful. It's fucking stressful, And it's so fucked up. The fact that what I do, I hardly ever leave my house. I leave my house to go run errands. I go to the pharmacy. I take something to fucking UPS. That's the extent of my fucking driving. That's the extent of my social life for the most part. How am I hurting anybody in any way by sitting in my house and smoking pot twice a day? It's just so wild when you look at it in an abstract way. How could you fucking possibly argue that I'm doing damage to society by sitting in my house?
Yeah, absolutely.
It drives me nuts.
I honestly think if you want to get down to freedom and shit, I think there should be a test. You get your just general driver's license, and then if you smoke weed, they're like, okay, now we need to calibrate what level of stoned you are capable of safely operating a vehicle on the road under, and then
I think that even goes too far. I think that goes too far, to be honest. I think if you can pass a sobriety test, you're good.
Oh, I know.
There should not be any
I was totally kidding, but and then I was going to go to drinking. I'm well, then everybody's blood alcohol level content should be.
I don't think they could have a scale for it, and then it'd be too abstract. Who's coming up with it? What was the person do they have my tolerance? Do they have fucking my mom's tolerance? How do we measure something? It makes no fucking sense,
And then you get up there and do your test, and they're like, sir, you are still getting perfect scores, and you've smoked a quarter ounce.
Yes. Gold coin for you. All right. I guess we could finish with Vivek. It's only a minute and a half.
This is a hollowed out husk of what the country was built on. The basic principle that we, the people, select our leadership, not the unelected elite class in the back of palace halls. That's old world Europe, not the United States. That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. I refuse to be complicit in that. I think what they're doing is wrong, and I think it's up to Republicans to step up and stand up with a spine for our country's future. That's really what's at stake. whether we, the people, actually have a say in deciding who leads this country. Yes, it would be easier for other Republicans like me who are running in this race to say, hey, if Trump is sidelined, there's our opportunity. No doubt other candidates are probably privately celebrating with their corporate sponsors. That's not the right thing to do. I think the most useful thing that every GOP candidate can do right now is to join me in that pledge. I'll say that I will withdraw from that Colorado GOP primary ballot until Trump's name is restored. This belongs to the people, not to the unelected Democratic cabal of judges in Colorado or any other state. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie do the same thing, or else they're complicit in what this security state is trying to do to shut down Trump. I stand by that, and I expect them to do the right thing.
Such a smart move by Vivek. He's so fucking smart.
He's playing chess.
When I first heard this, I was like, man, I think this might be a bad move. Like, what are you going to do? Just give up on the election because of principle? Like, yeah, that's like great to stand on principle, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That seems like a risky fucking move. But guess what? Today, and none of the other people who I expect them to do, he knew they weren't going to do it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's such a great move because he knows they're not going to do it. Like he said, they're fucking partying when they find that out. Today, Colorado announced that they're just going to do away with the primary and have a caucus instead. So what happened? He got his message out. He fucking nailed it. And he didn't even have to fucking drop out and sacrifice. He ended up winning anyways.
Yep.
He's so fucking smart. I really like him because he's smart enough to know that like what he's saying is never going to happen. But also smart enough to know that this is a good play and that Trump's probably going to, somebody's going to figure this out. Maybe he even had inside information where they were like, oh, we're just going to get rid of this and do it.
Yeah, he's
do it
like
instead.
calling a bluff.
Yeah, exactly. So brilliant fucking move, man. I really look forward to seeing like what he does in the coming years. He's so young. He's so smart. He has so much money and he's so driven.
Yeah.
That like he's going to be a major figure for the next 50 years. I could see him being a major figure in American politics for the next 50 years.
Yeah, I would
Well,
hope
maybe
so.
not that long.
Well,
Actually, maybe that long because he's rich enough that he could have life extension, right? So at 85, he's going to be, a hell of a lot younger than we are. It's funny that like some of these old people that we're like watching on Joe Scarborough may outlive us. Joe Rogan is probably going to outlive us. That sucks. But, that's what happens when you're a fucking billionaire.
Yeah.
So let's.
I really
17 minutes.
I really like Vivek. And just always being skeptical. Always trying to look at both sides of the coin. You just got to wait and see what develops with him. He's saying a lot of very, attractive things. He's saying like all the right shit. And then unfortunately it's what happens in the politics. So you can say whatever you want once you're in it. What's he actually going to do?
Yeah. What's impressed me maybe the most about him is how politically savvy he is for a complete novice.
Yeah.
Like he never, like if you listen, to some of his interviews, he, paid attention to politics in college, but essentially when he got out of college, he was going to make money.
Yeah.
He was going to, make medicine and cure people and make a lot of fucking money, essentially. But man, he's just so politically savvy. Like that was such a savvy move. The fact that I looked at it and I go, ooh, man, this could burn him. And then within 24 hours, it's just why he's who he is and why nobody listens to us.
Go
so
subscribe,
did you hear
motherfuckers.
Yeah, right. Like and subscribe, assholes. Maybe if I stop fucking insulting people before asking them to subscribe, that would work a little bit. Yeah, whatever. Did you hear earlier in the week? I guess it was maybe last week, where they were the whole corporate press is up in arms over Trump. He said they're poisoning the blood of our country. Oh my God, he's Hitler.
Yeah.
So I've got a nice clip here of probably the smartest woman in politics. I mean, she's smart.
Hillary
She's
Clinton?
black.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, of course not. I mean, what are you talking about? Hillary is a novice compared to this. Hillary's white, obviously. Let's check in with Kamala Harris.
Saying they're poisoning the blood of our country. When you got home after reading that, what would you say to your mother? He's talking about your blood.
Wait, would this be when I lived in Canada? Because I went to school in Canada.
Yeah.
So, I was raised, as you know, a child of parents who were active in the civil rights movement.
She doesn't
And
sound stoned at all.
I was raised knowing that there will be some people who will use their voice in a way that is meant to dehumanize.
I guess using your voice to dehumanize is bad, but what about when you use like prisoners for slave labor? I don't know.
No,
You
that's
throw
okay.
somebody in-
That's okay.
You throw somebody in jail in California for smoking marijuana, then you have them commit slave labor. Then you go on the Breakfast Club and laugh about smoking marijuana while you're in college. That's not dehumanizing at all.
Meant to suggest that the vast majority of us don't have anything in common, when in fact the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Who's us?
Yeah.
Us? Are we talking about the American people? Or are we talking about the global population? Because something tells me that she's talking about the global population, because as Americans, we have very little in common with these fucking people anymore. They're destroying the country. They want to make you poor. Steal. You can't buy a house. Good luck finding a good job and buying a house. I mean, it's wild. It's so dehumanizing. Oh my God, he said something at a rally. It's just, I'm shaking. Oh my God, I need to go into my closet and hide for a couple days.
And I would interpret it, I think, then as I do now, which it is language that is meant to divide us. It is language that I think people have rightly found similar to the language of Hitler.
What a coward. What a coward that people have found. You know why she did that? That people have found close to Hitler. It's because if she's at a debate or being questioned by somebody who's actually going to ask real questions and go, "Hey, why did you compare Donald Trump to Hitler?" She'd go, "Oh, I didn't. I said some people rightly compared him. I never said anything like that. I mean,
Taking it out of context.
I was just pointing out that other people have said it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, grow a fucking backbone. You should just stand. I'd have some respect for her if she just goes, "Yeah, this guy's a fucking pig. It's disgusting. It drives me nuts. I hate everything that comes out of his mouth, and I just want him to go away." I don't know if you heard Homer going woohoo in my ear right there, but that was nice timing. That's my text. I get Homer goes
nice.
woohoo. So I had a nice Homer in the ear there.
The one thing, like, it's typical, political analysis and how they spin shit. He wasn't talking about the blood of any people. He was talking about the blood of the country.
Yeah.
So
this is the same thing that George W. Bush used to say. The soul of America is at stake. If we don't go kill 1 million people in Iraq, the soul of our country it's gone. It's poisoned. He didn't say the exact same thing, but it was essentially, if we don't go kill these Muslims who, are monsters, less than human, who want nothing more than to barbecue you and your children for dinner, then your soul is tainted. It's so stupid. And even like from the Donald Trump angle of it, it's such a boomer con thing to say. Like, one thing that drives me nuts about this whole immigration thing is I think there's a large portion of the right wing of this country who thinks if we just cut off the borders and ship them all out, that everything would be great again. And we go back to 1950s America where everybody was wholesome and you could watch cool commercials on TV and, all this bullshit that's fucking gone. It's gone. This whole American dream that if you just go to school and work hard and get a job, that you can buy a house and have a family and retire. And that's gone. That's bullshit. That's a boomer con fantasy that is never coming back, especially if you let these people take control.
Unless there's a complete collapse.
Yeah.
And then we
And
gotta
it's very,
start back from
it's
square one.
like super convenient for them to, like, the right wing to just, let's just put all of our problems onto these immigrants. You know,
Yeah.
your jobs, immigrants. Like, I know immigrants. There are no white people trying to take their jobs. They don't want them. They are too fucking lazy to work them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to think that if we just kick these people out of the country, that everything is going to be sunshine and roses again. Everybody's going to be rich. You'll have a home. You know, it's the boomers taking up all the homes, not the fucking Mexicans. All right.
And I think it's just critically important that we remind each other, including our children, that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based not on who they beat down, but who they lift up. Oh. And sadly, I think that there is something perverse that has happened in our country over the last many years, which is to suggest that strength looks like a bully, when in fact, the real character of a leader is someone who has empathy, who has some level of concern and care for the suffering of other people, and then does something to alleviate that suffering.
Of Donald Trump
There's, that cares about other people and that does something about it. Like, look at me. They're smoking weed in the streets, so I put them in jail and I made them make license plates and they learned a skill. Dude, it's so wild that like this is the wolf. This is the fucking the colonizer. This is the fucking monster who is, destroying the wealth of America, who is destroying the inner cities of America. This woman is the reason why your child walks around in Detroit and has to duck every time they hear a noise because they think they're going to get shot. Like, that's this fucking woman. It drives me nuts. I hate her. I hate her. She's so fucking stoned. She talks like a half a mile per hour. I just did the Trump thing with, listen to her talk. It's weird. She's weird. You remember that interview? Man. It really is something. These people will destroy the fucking planet and make themselves out to be the hero. Oh, I'm just here to protect you from these Republicans who want to destroy your way of life, that, want to limit you, aren't going to let you have an abortion. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You might have to wear a condom or have safe sex or be responsible. And that would just be, terrible. Who wants to live like that?
That's just a typical, like, I just hate when people at all do that, spinning, taking a quote from somebody and spinning it, and it just makes me sick how many people only see what is reported on, the spin of what somebody actually said, instead of it's so hard these days to find actual, real, just raw information. Like, Trump said this, and then just actually discuss what he said, actually, not try to spin it to make people think a certain way.
You know what? Actually, I wasn't going to play this video, but now that you bring that up, let's go to Trump's response.
Look at Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitutions at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls.
Well, not the strongest response out of Donald Trump. He had a press release also. The press release wasn't great. The thing that really surprised me about this is he wasn't on any fucking news channel last night. Not even Hannity had him on.
Oh, geez.
Like, you would think that this would be big enough to where, like, maybe even CNN would bring him on. But, he's relegated. He's not allowed on those. But not even Hannity had him on, and Hannity wasn't hosting last night. It was Kayleigh McEnany, but she she was his press secretary. Like, you would think she could have a direct line to him. Hey, come on, tell us what happened. Tell us what you're going to do about it. Give us the fucking 411, but nothing. I was very surprised about that, which is, I guess maybe I shouldn't be. They've done a really good, and what is also surprising is that, like, he's been completely kicked off of corporate media at this point. Like, maybe he'll be on Hannity tonight or tomorrow, who knows? But like, he's still crushing it in the polls with no news coverage. Like, they're covering what he says and what he does, and like they played this speech on the channels, but like, he's doing it on his own, and that's kind of like what's so impressive about Vivek. Is he's not getting much mainstream. Like, CNN had him on a couple times and he made one of them look stupid. And now he hasn't been back on since. And I don't think he will be back on. And Fox doesn't have him on that much either. Yeah. But he's popping up on all the podcasts. Like, he's been on Dave Smith's show like 3 times now, which is, I think, is really cool. And I even heard Dave say that. And I've heard Dave say that it's not Dave reaching out to him to have him come back on. It's Vivek reaching out to Dave. Hey, can I come back on? Can I come back on? Which is really smart. Like, you're finding an area of people that have a significant overlap with you, and you're hammering them as hard as you can. And like, him and Dave have had some, headbutting over things, but it doesn't matter, because even like people like me who are watching the show, we see what he's doing. We know that I have no doubt in my mind that he's sincere. I do not think that he's some sort of neocon plant or some sort of CIA project to, mix things up. I think this guy's for real. And I really appreciate him having like real in-depth conversations with people who know their shit. They're not just like doing these puff interviews like Donald Trump did with Dave Portnoy last year. That was a fun interview, or a couple years ago. That was a fun interview. But again, you're not like challenging him on anything. You're not really getting much. It's just an entertainment interview. Where like when Vivek goes on with Dave, that is 1 hour of in-depth conversation where they are really getting into it. And you can tell that Vivek is smart. Like, the guy is well-read. Like, I don't read any of these books. I listen to people who read the books because the books bore me. But like, Vivek has read the books, I just had an interview today with a guy who teaches Austrian economics to kids, 8-year-olds. And I read a book on Austrian economics this week, but I just, even fucking like 8 hours of listening to it, it's just like, oh my God, is it really only been an hour and a half? Drives me nuts. And the frustrating thing is, like, I get it. Like, I get all of it, but I don't get it enough to be able to like regurgitate it. But every time like they bring something in a book up, I'm like, oh yeah, I know this from restaurants or from selling weed or something like that. I actually told the guy today, and he left pretty quick after the interview was over, and this may be why. But I told him I was a drug dealer, and the way I learned about opportunity cost and about like sales was through drugs, through selling weed. I like the good stuff. Everybody likes the good stuff. Yeah. You make the money on the dirt weed. Anyways.
Oh, fuck. But yeah, one thing I want to say about the Vivek going on podcasts, like I was saying, it's like, that's, in my opinion, the future. That's a direct source of people just getting to hear the words come out of his mouth. They're not getting filtered through whatever bias production groups and then spun out of some.
Hi, I'm
some
Sean
broadcast.
Hannity. I listened to Vivek today, and let me tell you what he said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you. It's cool. It's cool to see things changing. Hopefully we can make a splash at some point. Maybe we'll. At some point, it's got to happen. Maybe I don't know. At some point, it's got to happen, or maybe it just doesn't. All right, I've got this story. This is kind of a fucked up, disgusting story, but it really does a good job of showing the depravity of the media. I should have sent you this story so you could have read through it last night, but here we go. She miscarried in her bathroom. Now she's charged with abuse of a corpse. Oh, man. Those evil Republicans, they're the conservatives, man. These people are evil. They're going to change us into the Handmaid's Tale Soon, just you wait. They're coming for your baby. I guess not, because it's not a baby, it's a fetus. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Brittany Watts was still hooked to an IV, sick for almost a week from a potentially fatal miscarriage when a detective from Warren Police Department in Ohio stepped into her hospital room. He assured her that she wasn't in any trouble. For more than an hour, Detective Nick Carney interviewed Watts, 33, about the details of the morning and the whereabouts of the nearly 22-week-old fetus that was declared non-viable 2 days earlier. So that's fetus 1. Fetus count. Joseph Warren Hospital rubbed her shoulders. A nurse at Mercy Health St. Joseph's Hospital rubbed her shoulders and told her everything would be okay. Watts told the Washington Post in a series of texts. 2 weeks later, Carney arrested Watts for charges of felony abuse of a corpse for how she handled the remains of her pregnancy. Remains. There's another one. So that's 2. If indicted and found guilty, she faces up to a year in prison along with a fine of up to $2,500, her lawyer said. To describe Watts' experience, the Washington Post reviewed police reports, called recordings, and more than 600 pages of medical records, interviewed by her lawyer, and spoke to Watts via text message. So we're going to skip a little bit. We've got like 3 paragraphs now of like filler background stuff. Roe versus Wade, they're coming for your reproductive rights. They're monsters, blah, blah, blah. So now we go. Watts later learned through her lawyer that the nurse who had reassured her had reported her to the police. So that's pretty fucking... Yeah, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
I think I would be asked to be removed as soon as I turned her into the police. But, you know, that's just me. Neither healthcare workers nor law enforcement officials dispute that Watts' pregnancy loss was natural, and the coroner's report determined that the fetus was uninjured. Fetus! But a Humboldt County grand jury is now investigating her case. Watts said that along with mourning her loss, she is also dealing with her, quote, life being turned upside down. The day law enforcement was asked to intervene. Quote, I am grieving for the loss of my baby, she told the Post this week. I feel anger, frustration, and at times shameful. So now it's a baby. So I've said, and this is a quantum physics joke. You may or may not get this. Babies in blue states are in superposition. They are simultaneously a baby and a fetus, depending on which the mother decides it is. So it's in a story like this, they use fetus over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you'll
corpse,
see why.
right?
You'll see why. Let's keep going here because you're going to see here in a second. Watts, a medical receptionist at a different hospital, she works at a hospital, had woken in pain on the morning of September 22nd at her home in Warren, Ohio, about an hour east of Cleveland. She tried walking around indoors, but didn't lessen the pressure she felt in her abdomen. Watts was in her bathroom when she delivered a roughly 15-ounce fetus over the toilet. At the same time, she said, quote, didn't know that at 5:48 a.m. her life would change. The delivery left a mess of blood, stool, and tissue and other bodily fluids clogging the toilet. Not a baby, just a mass of blood and tissue. I didn't see the cat. Nice pussy. Watts scooped out what she believed was stopping the toilet and placed it outdoors near the garage, cleaned the bathroom, and showered, records show. To maintain appearances to her mother, whom she had not told about the pregnancy, Watts drove to a hair appointment. The hairdresser noticed that Watts' pale face and immediately called her mother to take her to the hospital. It was Watts' 4th pregnancy-related trip to the hospital that week. Works in a hospital. Been to the hospital multiple times. Lied to her mother about being pregnant. Had a miscarriage. And, quote, I had a mother who had a delivery at home and came in without the baby, she says. The baby is in her backyard in a bucket, the nurse said, according to a call by the Post. She scooped it out of the toilet, put it in a bucket, and threw it outside. Now do you see why they had to call it a fetus over and over and over again? Because if somebody did that to a baby, they'd be a pretty disgusting and horrible person, wouldn't they?
Yeah. But that's
so now
reality,
this
man.
fucking woman, and now this woman is being turned into a civil rights hero. She is a disgusting piece of human garbage. Now, I'm not sure that she deserves to go to jail. I could see that going either way. Like, this is disgusting. And if you allow people to treat babies, fetuses, whatever, something with life in that way, with that much disrespect, what hope do you have for them being like a productive member of society? She was so broken up over the loss of her baby, she called it a fucking baby, that she scooped it out and put it into a bucket and tossed it outside and then went and got her hair did. And then the real disgusting part, though, is the media.
Yeah.
The media. Like, let's go back to she miscarried in her bathroom. Now she's being charged with abuse of a course. Oh, just these evil Republicans.
Yeah.
So the evil people are the ones that have a problem with you scooping a baby out of a toilet and putting it into a bucket outside by your barn. Those are the evil people. It just, I should be mortified by the media. I should be blown away that they would do something like this, but I'm not, because this is what they do. This is their job. They use anything they possibly can as a way for political leverage. You remember when Kyle Rittenhouse shot that pedophile and they brought him on CNN to tell his story? Oh, you poor thing. You're just, you're a beautiful soul. I can't believe that this happened to you. It's just horrible. We got to send this evil piece of shit to jail. The guy was a fucking pedophile.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Does she go to jail or not? Should she go to jail or not?
Well, you said that it was like determined that it was infertile or something, right? 2 days
yeah,
prior.
it was a natural. The baby died.
And at that point, it's like, I don't think. I wouldn't think if the stuff like that can just like come up, it's not like you can plan having the miscarriage. And I mean, I can see being under, a lot of stress and trauma from that shit just happening. What would be the correct thing to do would be my question.
Let me ask you this. If you accidentally ran over your cat tomorrow morning on your way to work, would you scoop him off the ground and put him in a bucket and leave him outside the barn? Or would you call in sick and give him a nice burial and send him away the right way?
Yeah, I would, but the human mind and human emotions under traumatic situations, people do weird shit sometimes, is all I'm trying to say. I would definitely, do like a proper burial, I guess. But
yeah,
but
that's a nice show title. People do weird shit sometimes. Okay, and talking about people doing weird shit sometimes. Oh, come on. Yes, we got it. I'll put this video up while we're talking about it right now. Senate staffer alleged by conservative outlets to have had sex in a hearing room is no longer employed. Did you hear about this one?
Yeah, I think I did.
This fucking guy got violently butt-fucked on camera inside of the Senate, and they say Senate staffer alleged by conservatives. It's a video. It's on fucking Twitter. Like, who had to allege? Like, what conservative had to allege that this happened? It's on video. And meanwhile,
he's like, "That's not my asshole."
No, that's not my face. I didn't upload this to Grindr. It's wild. And meanwhile, like, January 6th is still the worst thing to happen since the day the dinosaurs were wiped out, right?
Yeah.
You can't defile defiling our public spaces. These are sacred. Remember, that's what they said about these are our sacred buildings. These are sacred.
Yeah. The what's the guy's name? The QAnon shaman. That guy's the real criminal.
But don't you see? That's what she was there for. That was the plan. To give you a boner. You got one.
You got one, buddy.
You're human.
You're human. Oh, man. Well, anyways, that's all the fucking news I've got for tonight. I've got one more video, but here's a topic since we got a couple more minutes to kill. I've been reading this. I just finished reading this book, and it's fucking wild. So it's called like Backyard Spaceship. So this guy, like his grandfather dies and he inherits the house, and like there's some fucking robot inside the house, and the robot takes him out to the barn and there's a spaceship, and he goes, oh, cool, let's go fucking fly around in the spaceship, and turns around. Hey, sorry, dude, the spaceship doesn't have any gas in it. If you want to fuel this thing up, you got to be a cop like your grandfather was. He was a space cop. And he drove around in space and arrested people for doing bad shit. And he's, oh, yeah, I can do that. So he starts, going out and arresting people. And right away, they're like calling him, you're evil, you're totalitarian, you're destroying the galaxy, you're, corrupt, all this crap. And he's just like, that's weird. Let's take this guy to jail. And it's like, for 1 second, can you not just stop and go, wait a minute? What if Grandpa was a space Nazi? And he just keeps going and arresting people. No thought whatsoever. Grandpa's a space Nazi. And that was my first thought. It was like, oh boy, if somebody was telling that to me, I'd just be like, hey, did I take the right job here? Or, I just found out aliens existed 2 days ago. Yeah. And now I'm out arresting them for reasons that are, this other fucking alien's telling me to arrest them. I'm getting paid in money that I didn't even know existed a couple days ago. But yeah, I'm doing the right thing.
It's the opposite, or the yin to the yang of Men in Black. It's the Men in White.
Yeah, yeah. What was the designer that made Men in Hugo Boss? They had great uniforms. Nobody can deny it.
Hey, fashion can never be racist, right?
Oh, of course not. Well, I mean, unless it's on somebody like Donald Trump, then clearly that suit company should have stopped selling those suits to him. I mean, do they not know that he's basically Hitler? I mean, come on. What are you doing here, guys? Yank those suits.
I'm surprised.
How about that hairspray? No more orange hairspray for you, buddy.
No more tanning lotion. I'm surprised he doesn't drive a Volkswagen.
Dude, that if you really wanted to take out Trump, all you would have to do is shut down his spray tanner. Because then you
wouldn't be able to see him.
All white.
All the light would just reflect off of him. He'd just blind.
Yeah. And then you couldn't call him Orange Man anymore. What would you do?
Oh, fuck.
Fucking Democrats, man. These people are nuts. Speaking of nuts Democrats, this will be our last video for the night, and we'll just fucking call it an early show. Here's Will Ferrell. Pretty funny guy, right?
The entertainment world, isn't it just time? Isn't it just time for women to run the planet? I'm not just trying to placate you, I swear. But
what a faggot.
I don't know what else to do, because we, men, we've been running the show since what, 10,000 BC, something like that? And we're not doing so good. So please, can you guys just take over? Forget about the
guys. Can you guys just take over?
You guys. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even notice.
He was talking to Big Mike.
Another gold star for you. Yeah, man. It's so funny. This has been going. like you would think that this is new. Of course not. Like this happened after World War II. All the fucking women, these men are destroying the planet. We gotta have feminism, and feminism's just worked out so fucking great. I bet Will Ferrell's like grandkids are in the middle of chopping their dicks and tits off right now. Good job, feminists. You're winning. You're doing great. Mutilating people. You remember when like we were young and plastic surgery was like anti-feminist? It's like you don't have to change your body in order to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that's just, corporate Jesus Christ, patriarchy. That's the patriarchy forcing you into destroying your body.
Yeah.
But now it's if you don't give them plastic surgery, they're going to kill themselves. So we got to chop their dicks and tits off.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I think I'm more of a feminist than
I dated a feminist once. I didn't know what a feminist was. She was hot. Oh, she was hot. It was like just when I got sober. So I was like, I don't know, like 28, 20.
You're like,
26, something
yeah,
like
I
that.
love the pussy.
Yeah, dude. Oh, did she just turn 21? Fucking toit. Anyways, I learned what a feminist was like while I was dating her because it was, dude, she was a badass though. She had like slam. We were like in San Francisco one night and we were just like walking around, me and like her and a bunch of other like people that we knew. And there was just like poetry circle, like slam poetry. And she just goes up and does it. And I was like, holy shit, that was fucking rad. And it was fucking cool.
Yeah.
But then there was some other weird shit, Yeah. You notice weird things, and to somebody who doesn't know what's going on, you go, wait a minute, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know about that. Like,
It's like,
but she's hot. So what are you going to say? You just go, yeah, women lifeguards are just as good as men. She was bitching one day because she was a lifeguard, and she was like, this guy pushed me out of the way because this, he wanted to get there first. And I'm like, well, you probably had a reason for pushing you out of the way. Maybe
probably
you couldn't
because you weren't
drag
moving.
a 200-pound man up onto the shore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I kind of,
right.
as long as the women would guarantee me, food and a roof over my head and beer and just top tier internet, I say go ahead. Let's see what happens.
Yikes. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're out of here. Have a good
Keep
night.
the change, you filthy
Subscribe
animals.
to our- Yeah.